Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today we'll be looking at the Anuruddha Sutra, or Anuruddha Sutta to Anuruddha. Anuruddha is one of the leading monks of the Lord Buddha. And this sutra is obviously about a discussion that happened between the Lord Buddha and Venerable Anuruddha. So it's coming in, I think, in Anguttara Nikaya, and the link is available on this page, so you can have a look at that if you want. You can get a better idea, just read through it, see if you can understand it, because sometimes the translations can be a bit hard to understand. For people who are not used to it, it can be a bit hard to understand. So just have a read through it. You might find it a bit repetitive, but that's the style, because that's how they have given the teachings. That's how they have memorized the teachings. I think that's why it's in that form, because at that time when people memorized the suttas, sorry, not people, the Mahasangha, when they memorized it, they did it in a repetitive way so that it could be remembered. And plus, there is no ambiguity. When something is repeatedly said, how can I say it? Like when you say something fully without excluding any words, or in a sentence, like you include all the details in that sentence, then there's no room or less room for people to misunderstand what's being said. So that's the idea behind that, right? So anyway, so today I will cover the Anuruddha Sutta, as I said before, and what I will be doing is not looking at the actual sutta itself, but I will be looking at the summary of it, just to keep it quick. And I know a lot of people don't want to spend like 1 hour maybe listening to sermon sometime, or Dhamma discussion, or Dhamma material. So I wanted to keep it quick. Maybe it can be helpful for people who who are starting, who might not want to listen for long sermons. I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but it can definitely be helpful sometimes. So having said that, I will start the analysis of the Anuruddha Sutta, but I will be using the summary which was prepared earlier. So as it says, when Anuruddha was actually living in the forest, so he's a forest dwelling monk. Even today you get the forest dwelling monks in Thailand and even in Sri Lanka and places like that. So he was sitting in seclusion, and this line of thinking arose in his mind. And so the thinking is that, or certain thoughts, arose in his mind. And so the first one is, the Dhamma teaching is for one who is modest and not self-aggrandizing. So what that means is, it's for one who is like modest. Obviously everyone knows what the word modest means. Modest means, you're kind of you don't tend to show off. Like even if you're skilled at something, you tend to not disclose those details to other people. So you might show that you're not really skillful. You're not going to go around boasting and talking about how skillful you are, how good you are, blah blah blah. Talking about your qualifications, or what kind of skills you have, what kind of achievements you've done. I mean, certain times you have to disclose those information under certain circumstances. For example, if you go to a job, then obviously you're going to have to, you can't be modest in that situation, because you're trying to win the job, right? So you have to let them know, okay, this is what I have done, and so forth. So in that situation it's different, but obviously for a lay person it's slightly different. But we're talking about the 8 great thoughts of a great man, right? 8 thoughts of a great man. So for one thing, he thinks that this Dhamma teachings means the teaching of the Lord Buddha is for one who is modest. So obviously everyone knows what modest means. Modest means not showing off, not boasting about your skills or your abilities. So it's for someone who is the opposite of that, right? So that's what so that's the first thought, that this Dhamma teaching is for someone who's modest, which is true. Someone generally who's following the Dhamma tends to be not someone what I have seen through personal experiences. They're not the ones that generally show off. The people who are following Dhamma teachings, the teachings of the Lord Buddha, they tend to be modest. So that is a very true statement. The second thought is, this Dhamma is for one who is content, not for one who is discontent. So contentment means being happy with what you have. So whether it's wealth or anything, the food you receive, the money that you have, the friends that you have, the people that you know, even your body, like body image. There are people who obsess over the body image, and they might spend like vast fortunes of money, like buying various things to beautify the body. I mean, it's a normal thing. That's the thing of the world. No, I'm not saying that's an evil thing, but there are people who are not content with the look of their body. They go to extremes like plastic surgery and things like that. So obviously that's not very healthy. But that happens. So obviously the idea would be to be content with what you have, whether it's your body, with anything. But that's just one example. So again, that is a very good point. So Dhamma is for one who is content, not for one who is discontent. So obviously, contentment leads to having like a centered mind. So if you're always thinking about, if you're not content with what you have at the moment, then you're always worrying about something, and your mind is not in a good state to focus on the Dhamma. So that kind of makes sense as well. And the third point is, the Dhamma is for one who is reclusive, not for one who is entangled with people, society, etc. So again, this one is talking about the different kinds of people. You get people who go out in society. They like to have a lot of friends. They like to socialize, go to parties, whatever, and there are people who are reclusive. They don't like a lot of people, hang around a lot of people. They like to be by themselves. So again, this, the Dhamma teachings is really for the reclusive people, but society values, this people who are into partying and things like that, right? That's the norm. But for someone who's partying and dancing and singing and dancing and doing all those things, they can't really get any benefit from the Dhamma, because their mind is too excited. They're thinking about, okay, where can I go and dance? Where can I go and have some kind of enjoyment? Some kind of dancing or something. They're too caught up with the entertainment that their mind will not be able to appreciate the Dhamma teachings, because Dhamma teaching is the complete opposite of that. It's about calming the mind. It's about centering the mind. It's about reducing those kind of the excitement, and bringing the mind to a calm state. So again, this line makes a lot of sense, that this Dhamma is for a reclusive person, not for one who is entangled with society. Then the fourth one. So the first one is Dhamma is for the modest, right? That's the first one. Second one is the Dhamma is for content, someone who is content. And the third one is the Dhamma is for someone who's reclusive, right? Not for someone who's in society. So, but having said that, as a lay person, we need to remember that these were taught or discussed between the Lord Buddha and a forest monk, right? So obviously you got to have a balance. As a lay person, you have to go and socialize with people. You have to go and spend time with your family and friends and things like that. But you need to have a certain time where you say, okay, I need to have some me time, where I'm just meditating, reading a book. I don't want to be all the time partying, all the time with friends. No, I need some time to where I have some time to think, time to reflect, and so forth. So yeah, you have to kind of balance out these things and make sense of it from a lay person's point of view. So the fourth one is Dhamma is for one whose persistence is aroused, not for one who is lazy. So that again means, the Dhamma can be beneficial for someone who is energetic, not for someone who is lazy. I mean, that makes sense with anything. Anything, if you want results, you have to work for that. Anything, whether it's a workplace, whether it's school, university, anything. If you want results, you have to work for that. Now, Dhamma, excuse me, the Dhamma is the one, probably the one that needs the most effort, to gain Nibbana, to gain freedom from this round of rebirth, from samsara. That is probably the hardest task that is there, right? And the hardest task requires the most effort. So that, again, this statement makes a lot of sense, that this Dhamma is for someone who's energetic. So if you're lazy and you don't want to put any effort, you're not going to really get too far with the Dhamma. Because Dhamma is not about reading. It's not about learning. Yeah, of course, learning and those things are there. But mostly it's about practice. If you don't put into practice what you learn through meditation, through precepts, through giving, dana, and all these meritorious deeds, you will not get any benefit. It's not like it's not like like a academic exercise where you read it, you learn it, and you put the book aside, then you go to sleep. No, you have to put into practice. That's what the Dhamma is about. You have to practice it. Otherwise, there's no benefit. And then the fifth one, the Dhamma is for one who is mindfulness established, not for those whose mindfulness is confused. And it says, I'm just reading directly off it, this refers to having a good level of mindfulness, sati, constant present moment awareness, past and meticulous detail. Yeah, so sati is again like a very fundamental principle in Buddhism. Sati means mindfulness. Mindfulness means you're aware of the present situation right here, right now, what's going right now. Generally with us, or with any human being, with any person, the natural tendency is to think about the past. You start thinking, okay, I did this with my friends, I did this with my parents, I did this with my relatives, blah, 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 whatever. And then, or you start thinking about dreaming about the future. Okay, this next year I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do this, next week I'm going to do that. Always either going to the past or going to the future, never in the present. So this is not an easy task, okay? But the idea of the Buddhist teaching in terms of the sati, or the sihiya, in Sinhala is sihiya or sati, means you maintain your mindfulness in the present moment, right? So you're aware of the present moment. You're aware of what's going on. You're aware of what's going on in your body. You're aware of what you're doing. If you're opening the door, then you're aware of that. Okay, I'm putting my hand on the doorknob, turning it, opening the door, and I'm closing it, I'm doing that. So you're aware of that. You're not caught up in a thinking to the point where you don't even know what's happening. You don't even know what you're doing. You're in a confused kind of state. No, that's not what this Dhamma, what that sati is about. Sati is about being aware of what's happening right here, right now, keeping the mind right here and right now. And Anapanasati Bhavana is quite good for that. That's a very good tool for training the present moment awareness. The Anapanasati, or the mindfulness, the awareness of the breath meditation, is a very good tool for that. But having said that, having a state of mindfulness, constant mindfulness throughout the day, is not an easy task. It's not something that can be easily be done. I mean, according to the teachings, it sounds really easy, but when you try to do it, you see how hard it is. It's not easy. You might be mindfulness you might have mindfulness for 5 seconds, and the next moment your mind is gone racing to something else, thinking about something else. So it's not hard. It's not easy. Sorry. And but the trick is to bring the mind back to the mindfulness topic when you find that you're drifting. But generally for lay people, it's not an easy task, because lay people go to work, they deal with other people. There's a lot of busyness that gets in the way of mindfulness. Like for a forest monk who's maybe sitting in meditation throughout most of the day, it's much easier for them because they have less distractions. They have more time to focus and practice. Whereas for a layperson, they have so many things to do. They have family commitments, they have commitments to their friends, they have commitments to their work, they have to go to the workplace and do the work. So there's so many distractions. The mind gets distracted moment to moment to moment to moment that it's so hard to maintain that mindfulness. But as lay people, best thing to do is try the best. Try the best. If you're at the workplace, try to focus on what you're doing. If you're talking to someone, try to focus on that. So do the best that you can in terms of maintain the mindfulness, and also do practice the meditation. Anapanasati 10 minutes a day. Watch the breath coming in, going out, aware of the breath. Or you do metta bhavana. You focus on those lines, may I be happy and well, may all beings be happy and well. So there's the teachings available. Even on this website, those teachings are available. If you look for it, you can find it. I think especially the metta bhavana is there. Guided metta bhavana, and anapanasati may also be there. You can have a look. So that is that one. So it's about so this dhamma is for one who is mindfulness is established, right? So that's point 5. Now point 6 is this dhamma is for one whose mind is centered, not for whose mind is uncentered. So actually, according to the sutta, this actually refers to jhanic states. Jhanic meditative states are states of bliss. If you constantly meditate, if you regularly meditate, you might actually experience either one or more of these jhanic states, where the mind becomes so focused, and you feel this blissful feeling in the mind. So, and the mind becomes very focused. So it's not easy for lay people to gain, but through persistent effort, you can gain that. And it is good, actually. These states are encouraged because it allows the mind to be very centered, very focused. And when the mind is very focused, it can start to gain insight or vidarshana or vipassana into the reality. So I think even the Lord Buddha, before the enlightenment, he gained these jhanic states. Like you have 4 states: the first one, second, third, and fourth. It goes from one to the next, I think, to my understanding, and each state is higher than the one before, and more sublime or more subtle maybe. And so after you gain the 4th state, you can start analyzing the reality of the world, and you can start seeing, okay, this is old age, this is death, this is impermanence. You can start seeing that seeing the impermanence in our lives, seeing the impermanence in our surroundings, the people we know, and so forth. So you can get into the insight part after you gain these jhanic states. So, but as lay people, our goal is to strive towards these jhanic states as much as possible. And that can be done through regular meditation, at least 10 minutes a day, if not 20, like 10 minutes at night, 10 minutes in the morning, so forth. So that's a good start. But obviously, you got to have to do meditation. You got to have good precepts. If your precepts are not good, then you have to strengthen your precepts. Then you can do good meditation, and you can get good results. So that's a very big foundation for the meditation. You got to have good precepts. 5 precepts have to be very strong for the meditation to be beneficial. So that is the 6th point, that this dhamma is for one whose mind is centered, not for whose mind is not centered, right? So that's the 6th point. The 7th point is, this dhamma is for one who is endowed with wisdom, not for those whose wisdom is weak. So yeah, again, this touches on the previous point about the insight, the wisdom born from insight. Insights such as, okay, this is impermanent, this is suffering. Because it's impermanent and subject to change, it can give rise to suffering. And if it can give rise to suffering, then it can't be me, my, or or me, my, mine, or belonging to me, right? If something is beyond my control, how can I say that's me or that's mine, right? So if something is constantly changing in a way that we don't like, a good example is the body, right? It gets old, it changes, it becomes weak, and so forth. It changes. We can't control that. We have no control over that. And that change gives rise to suffering because it changes in a way we don't like, right? So that's causes suffering. And if something is changing and causes suffering, then we can't say that's me or me, that's mine. The good example is the body. It just that's the natural process of the body. But what we do is we jump in the middle and go, my body is changing. Oh no, we get upset about it. That's normal. That's natural. That's human. But that's the reality. The body does what it's naturally meant to do. That it's going to get old, it's going to get sick, it's going to die. That's the natural process. And the fact that we don't see that and we can't accept it, that is the avijja, or the lack of wisdom, lack of understanding. And the opposite of avijja is wisdom, where you see, okay, this is the reality. I should not fear that. That is the reality. I have to accept that. This is the reality of my body. I have to understand that. So that's what that is. So this dhamma is for one who is endowed with wisdom. Okay, that's what that's referring to. So yeah, Venerable Anuruddha had these 7 thoughts, right? So this dhamma is for the modest. This dhamma is for one who is content. This dhamma is for one who is likes reclusiveness. This dhamma is for one who has persistent effort, who's very energetic. This dhamma is for one with mindfulness established, so sati, what we mentioned before. This dhamma is for one whose mind is centered and not uncentered. So that's the jhanic states that I mentioned before. And the 7th one is the dhamma is for one endowed with wisdom. So being able to see the impermanence, the suffering, and the non-self, anicca, dukkha, anatta, right? The changing, the suffering that it causes, and the fact that it's beyond our control, that we don't really own it. So, and when he had these 7 thoughts, Lord Buddha was actually in another location. When Venerable Anuruddha is in the first location, and Lord Buddha is in a different location. And he saw Venerable Anuruddha having these 7 thoughts in his mind. Okay, Lord Buddha saw that with his mind. He saw that through supernormal powers. He actually saw that happening, and then using his supernormal powers, he arrived at that location. He was in a different place, but he arrived there because he saw something worthwhile there that he could help Venerable Anuruddha with, and also this became a teaching later on, which can be helpful to us, right? So that's the reason why Lord Buddha went there, because either to encourage that monk or person, or to give rise to a new teaching that hasn't been heard before, or something like that. There's a reason why Lord Buddha takes action, like that. So he arrived where the Lord Buddha arrived where Venerable Anuruddha was there, and then he added another one to the 7 that Venerable Anuruddha thought of, the 7 points, the 7 thoughts of a great man. He added the 8th one. Then he said, this dhamma is for one who reduces mental defilements, not for one who's engaging in the increase of mental defilements. So mental defilements here means negative thinking, right? So this dhamma is for one who likes to reduce the negative thinking, or the keles in the mind, or the keles, or the defilements, the negative things inside the mind, anger, hatred, those kind of things, and not for one who's increasing those things. So that is normal, right? So the Dhamma teachings, naturally, someone who Dhamma teachings really is really for someone who does that, who reduces the mental defilements in their mind, not for someone who's increasing it. So that, again, that statement is exactly 100% true. So, and then the Lord Buddha explained to Anuruddha that these thoughts, these eight points, are thoughts of the great man, right? And anyone who thinks of these eight great thoughts can gain the jhanic states that I mentioned before, like the meditative states, blissful meditative states, very easily. So someone who gains these jhanic or blissful meditative states, the four jhanas, the Lord Buddha says that any kind of coarse food, that alms food that the monk has, it would appear like fine food, that you eat, like a very luxurious house, like a very fine dining, even though you're eating coarse food, because of the jhanic states that you have experienced, it would feel like you're eating really good food, right? I mean, this is just a the natural consequence of those jhanic states, right? That's the effect that those jhanic states or the blissful states have on the body and the mind, right? That's what the Lord Buddha is explaining, because he is an expert of that field. He knows that inside out. He knows the mind and the body inside out, So he is telling that. He has probably 100% he has experienced it. That's why he's telling that. Everything Lord Buddha is teaching, he teaches through experience. He has experienced it, then he's teaching it. And so that's the coarse food will appear like fine food, and the forest tree that the monk sits under would appear like a mansion because of the jhanic states. That's the perception they would get. And the grass that he uses for laying down will seem like a luxurious bed, right? Like, because the monks in the forest, I guess they would be sleeping on like grass, grass or hay. As a bed, because they're they lead very, very simple lives. Like, for example, Ajahn Chah's life. If you look at Ajahn Chah's life, you will see that. And like any strong medicines, like, I guess in those times they used urine as a basis for medication, to create medications, right? They used urine. So any strong smelling urine based medicine will actually will seem like they're actually like fine tonics, like ghee or fresh butter or oil or honey. It will seem like that, because your experience, you're in a state where you're experiencing the jhanic bliss. These coarse things, these medications, your lodgings, your food will actually appear like really fine things, right? So this is an advantage of these jhanic states that Lord Buddha is talking about, these jhanic states can easily be attained by one who maintains these eight thoughts, right? That was mentioned before. Then the Lord Buddha said to Venerable Anuruddha to live in contentment, it's kind of advising him, that to live in contentment, and how that's going to help him to attain the Nibbana, how to attain the non-agitation. Non-agitation means like, peace of mind, right? Which leads to Nibbana, which is, encourages Nibbana. And then he advised the Venerable Anuruddha to stay where he is for the rains retreat, or the Vas, the rains retreat, and then he returned to where Lord Buddha returned to where he was using his supernormal powers. And then he taught the same teachings, the 8 thoughts of a great man, to the other monks as well, right? Which we covered, which I won't repeat. Maybe I should. So the 8 great thoughts are: the Dhamma is for one who is modest, not for one who is not modest. Dhamma is for one who is content, not for one who is discontent. Dhamma is for one who is reclusive or likes solitude, not for one who is entangled in society. Dhamma is for one who has a lot of energy, not for one who is lazy. Dhamma teachings is for someone who has a lot of good mindfulness, like, present moment awareness, rather than having a scattered mind. We're thinking about this, that, and the other thing. The Dhamma is for one whose mind is centered, not for someone whose mind is uncentered. This is actually talking about the jhanic state, the 4 jhanic states, where you meditate constantly and you get that centering of the mind. The Dhamma is for one who is with wisdom, okay, not for one whose wisdom is weak. Again, this is talking about the impermanence, the suffering, and the non-self, right? That's what it's talking about. And the one Dhamma is for one who's reducing the mental defilements, not for one who likes to increase them. So defilements such as anger and so forth, right? So those are the 8 thoughts of a great man, right? And then, as I said before, Lord Buddha returned to where he was, and he taught the other monks the same teaching. And it says in the Sutta that Venerable Anuruddha gained Nibbana during that rains retreat. So obviously, I think Lord Buddha arrived there to, complete his thinking, because Venerable Anuruddha had the first 7 thoughts. Then the Lord Buddha saw that with his mind. He arrived there and he taught him the 8th one, which was missing. So obviously, I think he did that. Probably these eight thoughts helped Venerable Anuruddha to gain Nibbana. I think that was why Lord Buddha arrived there and taught him that, in full detail, gave him all those details. So yeah, that is the end of the Anuruddha Sutta, or the summary of it. And it is available in the Anguttara Nikaya, and you can find the links on this page.